Selamat pagi. Apa kabar?
Baik.
Saya dari Muang Thai. Orang Thai, tidak orang Utang. That's all I can say. That's certainly right. I'm very excited to be here. Actually, I should not be here. I should be in jail in Myanmar, thanks to the rule of law in Myanmar. Because, you know, in Myanmar, if you have confidential document from the government, and they check your computer, you're done. Just like the journalists from Reuters that were arrested. So I decided to quit my job less than 2 years ago. But to be here, I would like to share with you, or build on the knowledge from yesterday, very tense lecture ideas from Professor Cohen, from Kevin, from everybody, from those who came from Ong Keng Yong, who give you the real picture of ASEAN, the so-called, you know, contradiction, whatever you have about ASEAN. I mean, David asked a very good question about rule of laws and the community of rule-based and all that. It will take years to answer your question. You put a very embarrassing question for all of us. We cannot answer. But we know that we will muddle through all this. So what I'm trying to do to pick up some of the salient points and build on it. But my point will be a little bit different from yesterday. So I will start out with one of the most amazing things about ASEAN is, as I said here, ASEAN is for true believers. If you are not true believer, you cannot deal with ASEAN because ASEAN will disappoint you. Because ASEAN is very weak, benign, not confrontational, very, what do you call, fragile as an organization, but they sting like a bee. ASEAN sting like a bee. You don't want to be enemy of ASEAN. That I would like to remind you. So, membership theme. I have listed some of the things I would like to say. I will run down quickly. ASEAN centrality vs. ASEAN way. Maybe you don't know the different decision-making process. Yesterday you talked about slow, quick decision. How come it appears like that? You know, low-hanging fruit. Nobody talk about it. How about high-hanging? Is there such things? And then your leadership personality, idiosyncrasy, why certain things happen in ASEAN. As a journalist, I followed this for over 30 years. That is why I look older than I actually am. You know, I'm only 18 this year. Because common ASEAN is very difficult. You never get it right. You look at yesterday, all the experts point out all this discrepancy of understanding. And I learned new thing yesterday. I was like kindergarten. Listen to David, listen to Ong Keng Yong. My goodness. And telling me, you know, I will tell you the mistake I have made all this over 3 decades. And ASEAN identity, how can you create ASEAN identity in the regions that is so diverse? And then you have people oriented. This is the most fascinating. You try to answer it. And Ong Keng Yong didn't answer, I have my own answer. People oriented and people centered. Rule-based community-based, community based on rule, promotion and protection of human rights, degree of compliance, hard law and soft law. My goodness, I heard about soft law for the first time. I only know soft power. I don't know soft law. In Thailand, you are either law-abiding or lawless. So, you know, and then I will wrap up. As a journalist, we have a problem here because people of ASEAN do not have their own narrative of their own organization. We lack. Others define ASEAN for us. Every time, you know, why service before the summit, they will characterize ASEAN summit as A, B, C, whatever they like. Okay. Just to give you some idea, to determine ASEAN direction, you have to look at the ASEAN theme. Each year, they spend months of coming out with ASEAN theme. Okay, this is what, in 2006. Read carefully throughout, quickly. Fantastic, you know. If we follow the theme carefully and if we implement it, ASEAN will be super regional organization in heaven. you know. I just give you all these things. While I highlight 2012, I will come back. Okay, you read through all that, right? 2008, 2009, you know what happened? ASEAN Charter for ASEAN people. Yes, it's for ASEAN people. This is why ASEAN leaders have had to run away because of the trouble inside Thailand, political turmoil. Okay, just go back to, this is the latest. The longest theme is from Myanmar 2014. Almost 11 words. Normally you have to be very precise. Sooner or later, ASEAN will run out of theme. It takes 3-4 years. Vietnam take about 4 months to come up with the latest cohesive and responsive ASEAN. But you look, okay? So now, to understand ASEAN, first you have to understand the theme. The theme contains the secret of what the chair would like to do. So look at the Thai this year. Very messy because advancing partnership for sustainability could mean anything. So at this summit there will be 44 documents adopted, signed, screened by leader. That is probably the largest document that will come out, you know. And 2018 Singapore very clear. You have smart city network very clear, and it's continued. On 2015, Malaysia, our people, our vision, our community, last minute change. When it came out, it was ASEAN's people-centered community. ASEAN, people-centered community. But Najib decided to change later on. Okay? Now, you look this carefully. In 2012, Cambodia, ASEAN, one community, one destiny. We almost have one destiny because that destiny was not so good. You remember what happened? ASEAN could not come up with a joint communique. So sometimes it has no correlation between the theme and what reality is. So that was a very bad one. So I hope that every time you want to tackle ASEAN as the teacher or lecturer, you must understand the theme. So next year, when you look at Vietnam, very important that you understand this, that Vietnam will be very strong on cohesiveness. But Vietnamese meaning of cohesiveness and responsiveness is different from what you understand. But I will not talk about it. I just try to mention it so you know how to look at ASEAN. Okay. ASEAN centrality. Ong Keng Yong has said about ASEAN centrality several times at different panel discussions. They have internals and external. But ASEAN centrality is very special. Yesterday, nobody mentioned ASEAN centrality at all, only ASEAN way. ASEAN centrality is now the buzzword because everything you do have to promote ASEAN profile, ASEAN decision making. Last night I was thinking, oh, you know, how to promote ASEAN centrality. I come up with 5 ideas. This idea is not new. I think it's enshrined in all the speech. Ong Keng Yong has mentioned, you know, the first one, need to promote centrality within ourselves first. If you do not promote ASEAN amongst member countries, what can you do? And then vis-a-vis hotspot, this is one of the most controversial. Sometimes we have common standpoints on climate change, but on sensitive issue, we are pretty shy. We let each country to form its own opinion. A lot of people said we don't have unity, but don't get confused. Sometimes we lack unities, but our centrality is still there and strong. That you must not question ASEAN centrality. And then getting, you know, ASEAN now increases profile and all that. The major power is also very important. The Indo-Pacific outlook is a very clear indication that we want to engage major powers and amplify beyond ASEAN region. You have to go on with international organization. I think this is something that ASEAN is well aware. Okay, quickly. Decision-making process. I just built on this. Dr. Seri Yesterday talk about, you know, you have to work with the personality, know how to bargain, you know. That is on the human rights. But on the realistic level, there are many other ways. I will give you an example. When ASEAN work on anything, for example, the drafting of ASEAN charters, it takes 14-time meetings. The Lao delegation, the same person never miss any meeting. The Thai changed the delegation 6 times. So the consistency at the ASEAN meeting is the most important to drive your point, be consistent. That is why a lot of points raised by Lao and Vietnam in combination with Myanmar found its places or embedded in charter or in ICHA. Because they never miss any meeting. The Thai miss 6 of the 14 meetings, always have alternate. I think all Kenya know that. Other countries do not have it. They know that they have to sit and be firm on their position. The lowest level is even better. If it's working group, make sure you have the best person, has the most persistent person who can say the same thing all the time. That's how you get the, your idea across. That's how you negotiate. So you start your point first. That's how I said. Now, what is the quickest decision ASEAN has made on what topic? Anybody knows? Just a quiz. Actually, it's happened at the last ASEAN Foreign Minister meeting. The decision for ASEAN to bid for World Cup in 2034. It came in just like that, out of thin air. Start from a conversation between Thai Foreign Minister and Brunei's, I think it's a trade minister. And then the conversation just expand, you know, from how you can improve people-to-people contact by reducing the roaming charge among ASEAN countries. And then Thai Foreign Minister, oh, it's better if we can go to bid for World Cup. The idea was not new, but the sentiment, why? Suddenly, you know, the Vietnamese Foreign Minister learned about it and start tweeting, oh, it's a great idea. So within minutes, you know, it caught on. So ASEAN agreed. Why? Vietnam is the is Asian champion, football champion. So this kind of thing happened. And another shortest treaty that ASEAN made, you mentioned Cohen yesterday. It took 92 days, the Treaty of Counterterrorism in 2007 between, it was driven by Indonesia and Philippines. It took 92 days. That was the fastest route. So it depends on circumstances, the timing. I would argue also that ASEAN is very practical. It looks at the urgency of the issue. And sometimes if the issue is not hot enough, they just let it go slowly. Low-hanging fruit. We all talk about low-hanging fruits, things that we can implement quickly without paying too much expense. You know, now low-hanging fruit, one of the most important things is to establish ASEAN lane. But not many countries have permanent ASEAN lane. It keeps changing. So like Thailand, we have ASEAN lane. We even have women lanes, which disappeared last year. And now we have Chinese lane for only Chinese passport holder. So ASEAN lane was supposed to be something that ASEAN Charter mandate said we should do to improve the people-to-people exchange. But for me, it's the ASEAN identity. Because when you talk about ASEAN identity, it's very important for ASEAN region, which is very diverse. We have institutional identity, but we don't have one single identity like the European. You know, we don't have common passport, we don't have common currency, but we can argue that we have ASEAN song. We have many versions. We have flags. We have ASEAN days. You know, we can compete with EU, but short of common security, foreign policy, objective. Quickly. Now, people-oriented and people-centered. Yesterday, Ong Keng Yong was very kind. He put in a very nice explanation, about people-oriented and people-centered framework. From the grassroots level, people-oriented is from the top, people-centered is from the bottom. It's top-down and bottom-up decision. So Lao Chen said, we cannot afford people-centered because if you look at the people-centered activity, for example, in Thailand, it would be disastrous for our political system. You have people, gathering in shopping center for months, in front of the government for months, have all kinds of demonstration. Thailand is very highly mobilized. So people-centered must be used along with people-oriented. So the government and top-down and people-centered from the grassroots join together, come out with the policy that would serve. That is how they reconcile. So a lot of confusions among those who read ASEAN document. What is going on? Sometimes with no comment, as Ong Keng Yong said. So as a journalist, it's very difficult. For me, I make mistakes all the time because when you report on ASEAN, you have to know everything comprehensively. Otherwise, you make mistakes. You must have, like Ong Keng Yong, who have an institutional memory. He can explain in practice. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Dr. Seri, yesterday, it took him 6 years to understand how to move around and to push the disabilities agenda. It's not easy. But if you know the mechanism within ASEAN, know the personality. Now, our leadership personality is also very, very interesting. I mentioned Cambodia in 2012. The reason, this is my take, it could be wrong. The only reason that Cambodia could not come out with the joint communique was very simple. Foreign Minister Ho Nam Hong was disconnected with the rest of ASEAN leaders. Foreign Minister with Singapore, with Martin Hathalikawa from Indonesia. Because it's similar, Foreign Minister has that kind of attitude in Bangkok at this Foreign Minister meeting, just this October. It will face the same fate. No joint communique because the same thing happened. But because the Thai is a member of the founder of ASEAN, it has the patience, the kind of diplomatic skill to work through the difficulty. That is why it came out. Actually, if you read the joint communication this year on South China Sea, it was very tough on China. It expressed concern over some quote-unquote serious incident. Vietnam was very happy because Vietnam came out and said, I want the statement to put serious concern over recent incident. The Thai said, let us talk, and then talk again, and then agree on this formula. The case could happen the same in Cambodia if only Ho Nam Hong connected with, hey, listen, we have to work on this. In 2013, ASEAN could come out with a joint communique about 1 o'clock in the morning because Brunei was so careful just to make sure that everybody, you have consensus. Make sure it come out with the right. That is the real ASEAN spirit. You don't have that, no way. That is why in the future, this kind of rapport among ASEAN leaders is very important. And ASEAN leaders have a different idea. You Tate, even under the chair of Singapore last year, Singapore suddenly decided that no more funny high-tech. Say we're going to shake hands like this, but it did not fly. Thailand said we're going to do the same thing, right? It has become symbol of ASEAN. But the first time leader don't know. Jokowi has to learn. Aung San Suu Kyi did a very embarrassing, don't know how to hold my, So, just to cut away, in 2000 also, when Condi Rice was foreign minister, he took him and joined ASEAN post-ministerial meeting and decided, I'm not going to join the post-ministerial performance. Actually, It was the biggest sort of program with the post-ministerial meeting. You know, everybody was anticipating what foreign minister would do. For me, I was lucky enough to watch Madame Murdering Albright singing "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina," and then Colin Powell sing "Village Voice," YMCA. But Singapore does not want that kind of thing because it costs a lot of time. It's not in the focus, but you know, it happened. So now, very serious. Post-ministerial meeting is very serious. No more party, no more singing, which is good actually because a lot of time has been spent, you know, senior officials spend a lot of time to, sometimes they compose the song. Ralph Boyce, who's now living here as a regional director of Boeing, was the man who told me that he spent a lot of time drafting, you know, make new songs to commemorate this kind of performance. Now, I will not go to rule-based community. I use the word rule-based all the time without knowing the real difference that pointed out by David Cohen. You know, we just say, hey, listen, ASEAN is rule-based, we have so many rules. You look at the outlook, you know, paragraph 10, we have 15 norms we collected from international treaty, regional treaty, everything you need to have an international standard. But implementation is still different. And I think, like you, lecturer or journalists have to understand. Like yesterday, you know, you have to really understand hard law, soft law, what ASEAN chooses to do. That is why we lead it to the levels of compliance. Why certain things ASEAN's member would do it right away, sometimes ASEAN could not do it. Each country have its own different distinctive condition that will push certain things, you know. So I think this is another thing that as a lecturer, or in my case, I try to report this kind of efforts, you know. I started out as a journalist 37 years ago. I wrote about Cambodian issues, how ASEAN fights to promote peace and stability. It's always half empty, half empty. And then once I get old, it's half full. It's almost full now, you know. So people think that I'm too mellow this day, but actually I'm more realistic, like Ong Keng Yong. I must say, as a journalist, I love Ong Keng Yong. Why? Because he explains ASEAN as it is. No secret. We have our weakness, and we have our strength. Take ASEAN as it is. No icing, you know. This is who we are, and you have to deal with us. That is why foreign leaders keep coming for ASEAN summit, but Trump is not coming this year. But substance-wise, it's there. So last year, Singapore was expecting Trump is coming. Thailand working very hard, citing, you know, we are allies. We have 204 years of relation. You should come. You know, we even say that we have to Miss Formal Universe, which you used to run a franchise. You know, we give all kinds of reasons. You know, trying to say that if you like Thai boxing, we'll give you a ringside seat. You know, it's much more exciting than watching sumo in Japan. You know, all kinds of reasons. But Trump said, what? Thailand? Is that Taiwan? What can you say? No. Okay. Having said all this is the time when you're dealing with ASEAN. But it should not discourage you. Now, as a journalist, I have a problem. Because ASEAN journalists don't write about ASEAN. They do write about ASEAN when their country, you know, hosts meetings, 1,000 meetings, serve as ASEAN chair, mainly bilateral, you know, what the chair would like to do, what the main objective, and all that. ASEAN journalists still have to look at ASEAN as a single entity. When we write, we must have strong sense of ASEAN's ASEANness, but so far none. You know, it's very sad, and This is why the narrative of ASEAN so far has been dominated by white service. Because when they write ASEAN as a whole. So when you write ASEAN as a whole, they focus on 3 issues. South China Sea, today is Rohingya, and then North Korea. As if ASEAN could not do anything. Actually, ASEAN have hundreds, like for example, agreements, plan of action, 3 pillars, you name it, we have vision statement from all the leaders. So, but ASEAN have not yet really pushed their own view so that it gain traction, so that the policy maker take notice. That is why politicians become a very sensitive issue. Yesterday, one of you asked a very good question about IPA. I met Secretary General of ASEAN. We shared the same flight here. He was complaining that the Thai didn't allow him to sit in the meeting. He was mad. These people are supposing to approve, create new law to facilitate the so-called seamless ASEAN. And here, Secretary General was not allowed to participate. And I think Ong Kang Yong, Ambassador, yesterday did mention about the sensitivity. So, in the end, what we need to do, you are the future of ASEAN. I write about ASEAN, we need to educate. And the most important, we must have communication strategy. ASEAN leaders said that, we always think about our people. That is why there's no war, peace and stability, economic growth. ASEAN will be the region that will continue to grow at 5%, 5.2%. So that's the point. We need to create a sense of belonging amongst the ASEAN's citizens. 652, not 635 anymore, because population in the Philippines grow very fast. So it's very important that we understand it. And you need to create a kind of narrative that will embed in the ASEAN conscience, especially the young generation, that without ASEAN, things could be worse. And we have to pay attention. The young people know about ASEAN. I think some of the ASEAN Foundation earlier first survey, most of the ASEAN youth come from advertising. They learn it from advertising also. And sport advertising, that kind of thing. So we need to create that central message for ASEAN that we really work for the benefit of the people. And one of the things is that, as yesterday manifested, there's still a big gap of understanding the real ASEAN and the perception ASEAN, what ASEAN can do, particularly, for example, AICHA. AICHA is a consultative body. How can you change and push? And ASEAN is very good when they promote human rights. Protect is not in the agenda yet, at least not for the time being. I remember in 2010, Prime Minister Abhisit deliberately put in his opening speech that Thailand would like to protect and promote human rights. That created a lot of outcry because it's reversed. ASEAN have to promote first before it protect. But he deliberately put protect first. That's why that year the interface between ASEAN leader and civil society end up not very good because ASEAN leader were complaining that too much, also too many representatives from NGO having meeting with ASEAN leader. So this time, NGO meeting with ASEAN leader will be restricted to foreign ministerial level. So that much I will end up saying that we have to create our own narrative, reflects the kind of reality in ASEAN. We need to create the better understanding among the educator, policy maker, business community, anybody. Especially the most important is the media. I mean, I don't want to spend time on the media because I think media has not done a very good job in reporting ASEAN at all. Thank you.